It's the Wavetable Live. Once again, welcome along. It's me, Howard, here, fresh in the basement in my new little studio setup. You can't see it, but there's a washing machine right next to me. Just turn it off because it was making some noise, because it was spinning our bed sheets. Too much information, perhaps, but whatever. Welcome along. This is the Wavetable Groove Box. It is episode 5, 12th of January 2022. It's a special one today. Will be revealed shortly, but let's get into what we're doing and what's going on. All right. I'm going to move myself to the side like this. All right. This is the Groove Box. It's episode 5. This is Wavetable. My name is Howard, your intrepid host. What are we all about? What do we do here? Well, Wavetable is all about really creating spaces for transformation. That's what we do. We work with brands. We work with creators. We work with non-profits and cities to create spaces for transformation. That could be from workshops to offsites, to academies, to conferences, to brand activations, all kind of cool stuff, whether it's transforming the humans you work with, an audience, a community, fans, whoever it is. We help you do that. These sessions, the Groove Box, the live stream, we do 2 things. Number 1, we help you craft stories to help build projects, businesses, careers, communities, all our stories. And secondly, we're all about creating better workshops, conferences, courses, and other things, other human interactions. So really, we're trying to walk our talk, bring our work. Here is this live streaming session. If you're interested in having a chat about anything at all in today's episode or other things, you can just email me. That's my email address, howard@wavetable.net. All right. That's the intro bit. Enough of that jazz. Let's get into today's Groove Box. Ooh, episode 5. 2 pieces to today's session. Number 1 is the hot and cool, a regular fixture on the show, the hot and cool, followed by a very special studio session. I have no idea how this is going to go. We're going to do a live kind of breakdown, a live co-work, a live working session on a project that we're working on right now. So you can get a bit of an insight into how we're building stuff. It's quite interesting because we're using mmhmm, which I'm using right now to stream this. We're using a bit of Google Slides, some Keynote, some video stuff, but we're also using a great tool called Notion that maybe some people use quite a lot. We're really digging into that, and we're building an entire trends report using this crazy thing called Notion. It's quite interesting, so we're going to get into that in a minute. But first, it's time for hot and cool. Yeah. Speaking of cool, this guy Marshall McLuhan, I'm sort of channeling his black t-shirt vibe, roll neck vibes. I actually got a roll neck for Christmas, which was my first ever roll neck, which made me feel at least 10 years older than I actually am, but also there's a sort of snugness around the neck that's quite enjoyable for these cold New York days in January. So anywho, Marshall McLuhan, 1960s, coined this term hot and cool around media. Hot media and cool media. Hot media being something that would immerse one sense fully, but was usually only one sense. So for example, maybe a film. Cool media being something that didn't immerse one sense completely, immerse multiple senses, not fully, but gave the viewer or the interactor or the person on the receiving end more scope to play around with it and explore and see what was going on. Very prescient, very forward-thinking gentleman he was. This idea of hot and cool actually shows up today in all kinds of different places, and it's very relevant with building experiences, building education, creating learning, things like that. So we like to talk about hot and cool. Here's 2 examples, one from each. One thing we find hot recently and one thing we have found cool. Let's talk about the hot stuff first. This is a company called Hyatt Denim. Very cool company based in Wales in the UK. Hyatt Denim make jeans, as you may imagine. Really interesting business. They are an independent company, very proud of it. Almost reinventing or reimagining. Now, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? Reinvigorating. There we go. Reinvigorating the town of Cardigan, I believe it is, ironically, in Wales. And they make amazing jeans. But what they also do is they do amazing marketing. And one of the amazing marketing initiatives they do is this thing called Makers and Mavericks. So they've recently just posted on their Medium blog their Makers and Mavericks, 100 people and things that were really super cool and interesting in 2021. So highly recommend you Google that, Hyatt Denim's Makers and Mavericks selection. Hopefully we will be included for 2022 if you're listening. Yeah, you can include us. Probably not after I just did that. That's the hot for this time. You can immerse yourself in the makers of Mavericks. Super interesting. Let's talk about the cool. The cool is Erica Synth. Big shout out to Fernando for this one from the crew. He came up with this, sent this to me last week. Erica Synth, they're Latvian. I didn't realize they were a Latvian synth company. They make synthesizers. They've recently collaborated with a professional musician called Moritz, I forget his last name, Moritz, to make a bunch of synth kits. So you can build your own synthesizer. And they're kind of doing this in a sort of drop style, a la Supreme and the like, doing drops every few weeks of different kits to create your own synthesizer setups. They've also got some great videos, instructional stuff on how to build your own synth. So Erica, E-R-I-C-A, Erica Synths, you can create and build your own synthesizers with these kind of cool little toolkits. We really like this kind of modular approach. Actually, the work at Wavetable we always think about is kind of this modular approach and also this idea of synthesizing things together. So this is very on brand for us. We like this a lot. Opening up access, democratizing stuff that feels complex and difficult, kind of engineering stuff. So Erica Synth, super cool. That is the cool for this time around. Okay. Not really sure about doing this, but let's do it anyway. Studio session. Today's Wavetable Live Groovebox is doing something a little different. It's doing something a little different. We're going to open up the process. We're going to go into one of our projects we're currently working on and show you around, show you how we're building it. I'm just going to kind of work as I normally would on this in my own unique, weird way. And we're going to have a poke around and see what we discover. So this is a project we're building called Edutainment 3.0. We're very excited about this. I'm going to get into this in just a second. But first, let's try and boot up the mainframe. There we go. Oh, God. That's my full screen share. That's infinite Howards. No one needs that in their life. Let's try this. Yeah. All right. I'm going to scale myself down a bit into the corner. Woo, yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that works all right. I'm going to switch lanes into the thing itself. Let me just check this is all working okay. There we go. Yeah. All right. Great. Looks like we're tickety-boo. So I'm going to share, get this all full screen. There we go. Oh, close to full screen. Sorry, I'm still learning. All right. Oh yeah, okay. That's all right. We like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, cool. Let's get into it. So this is a project. I'm going to go to this page first to give you a bit of an intro to what we're doing. So this is Edutainment 3.0, a learning adventure by Wavetable. So this is our little intro bit we've created. We're using Notion for this. We were using Google Slides and Keynote, but we've decided just in the last couple of weeks, in fact, after 2 or 3 months of work, we're rebuilding the whole thing as a Notion workspace. I'm going to show you how we're doing that in just a second. But first, let's talk about what this is. What is this? So edutainment. Education meets entertainment. Bit of a funny word, bit of a stigmatized word, but we think it's super interesting. So we have coined this term. I want to try and trademark this maybe. Edutainment 3.0. Open world curriculums, brands as neo-educators, immersive, like Sean Connery, immersive social impact initiatives, and so much more. So we think this is really interesting, this space, this idea of education and entertainment coming together, but not in kind of corny infomercial style or not like kind of math educational stuff that doesn't really feel very entertaining. We actually think there's really great potential here now because of a few trends that are happening in the world. So this is our little intro bit we've put together. We're sharing this publicly. So this is again in the Notion page. I built this in our little Figma setup. We might get into Figma in a minute. So this is like a little 2-page, 1-page overview thing. We've also got this Web3 bit, which we might talk about a bit later as well. There we go. So this is like our little 1-page. We've been sending this out to a few friends. I'll maybe put this into the notes, into the comments, so people can see what this is, so you can get access to it. So this is our little intro bit we've been sending to people. It's a trends report, but we wanted to create a trends report with a difference. So we're building it in Notion. We're also creating it as a kind of story-based thing, rather than just being like one of those PDFs that yeah, you just look at it and whatever. We actually wanted to create something a bit different, so we're trying to add videos and like embed loads of stuff and like make it more like a kind of database and library you can play around with. But not just that, even more, we're adding workshops because we're all about experiential learning and active learning. We're all about edutainment, so we've got to walk our talks. We're adding a bunch of experiential workshops as well. I'm going to just scroll it down here. There we go. So as well as that, we're also offering a community, consulting sessions with the team. We're also doing some funky Web3 stuff that I'm going to talk about later, perhaps, and some additional case studies in the premium version of the report as well. So the free report is going to be available as a Notion workspace for anybody to access. The premium report is going to have loads of extra content, but also access to these workshops and community stuff, and this kind of Web3 NFT bit, which I'm going to get into in a second. Actually, I'm going to get into it now. Let's do it that way. It makes more sense. Then we'll get into the working session because that's the really juicy stuff is. So one thing we've been thinking about a lot, amongst other things, is NFTs and Web3. Maybe some of you have been too. We were very curious how we could use Web3 in an interesting way. So we're doing a Web3 crowdfund for this. Now, that sounds like buzzword-tastic, but basically to get the premium report, so if you want access to all this good stuff here, you can access that via an NFT. So we're doing the option to buy a token. So you can use cryptocurrency like Ethereum to buy a token, which will give you access to all of this stuff. So we're offering this via NFTs. Now, we think Web3 is super interesting, but it's also kind of cliquey and a bit weird and a big hurdle to usage and things like that. So why are we doing it? We think there's loads of reasons why it's worth doing. We can give our contributors ownership of the project, like on blockchain. We can raise capital because we're doing it as a little crowdfunded thing. We can experiment with a new way to fund something because we've never tried anything like this before. We can catalyze new projects as well. It'd be easy to spin up new projects. We can offer people who are backing this kind of voting rights on new stuff we're doing. And also it's a good opportunity for us to sort of learn stuff ourselves. And hopefully for you, if you're joining us, to learn about this stuff in a kind of safe way without buying some Bored Ape that you paid too much money for and realize is a piece of junk. Oh, so that's why we're doing this. This is a secondary part of the project. The main project, of course, is the report, which leads me to the report. So let's get into this. I'm going to go back to my Notion space. I'm not sure if viewers have used Notion before. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I'm going to save the kind of full Notion tutorial because you can do that somewhere else. But let's go back here, Edutainment 3.0. So here we go. This is our workspace. This is actually our team's workspace. We're really getting behind the scenes here. We've got some comments to me and Fernando on the right there. You can see we've got some open questions for the team. One is an interesting one. Is this all too new? How to make it feel familiar and easy to share? That's something we've been thinking about. I'm just going to zoom this in a little bit, actually. Can I zoom this in? Let's see if I can. Might break everything. There we go. That's better. Yeah. Is this all too new? These are things we're thinking about right now. Do we want to put it in Notion? How do we use slides? How do we make it easy for people to think about? What's a primer version we can release? Can the scenes be a database? I'll get into that in a second. All kinds of stuff. We've got all our research here. So this originally was a ton. It was like a 70-page Google Doc and 3 different Google slide decks, and we just found it was so overwhelming that all of us were getting a bit confused. So we started dropping some of this stuff into Notion, and suddenly it's like, oh, this feels kind of cool. Much nicer way to lay it out. So you can see in here, if I go into our background research, we've got here, click into this, research included in the presentation. This is all of our various stuff. There's just forever, loads and loads of this. This is what me and the research crew have been pulling out. Loads of stuff in here. I'm going to skip. So this is all the stuff we already had, sort of transported from our Google Doc. We did a few interviews with some industry experts. We've got more to come. We've got some research for review, maybe. These are all the links we didn't get around to looking at yet. These are the sort of slightly less useful things, maybe. We've also got some miscellaneous research to be sorted that we've been chatting about here. So there's like some stuff on Carmen Sandiego, a 1980s video game. There's this synthesis school, story experiential, which is a really great Pixar project. Some Kahoot sports grind entertainment thing, like all these links that we've just been discovering and dropping into this little research toggle here for later checking. Over on the right-hand side, we've got our documents. So we've got some background. This is all internal. This is our who's it for. I don't mind sharing this. It's all we know. We're all friends here. We did this exercise, really helpful exercise. Anything you do, honestly. What is this? What's it for? What's success look like? How are we going to show it? Who's it for? Primary group, clients, referrers, amplifiers. What's the need? Blah, 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 blah. So we spent some time writing that out to get really clear on who's it for, because it was honestly, it's easy to lose track of this stuff, even if you think you've got it nailed straight away. As projects wander around and get bigger, this one's definitely got bigger. It's good to get regrounded. We've got a bunch of marketing and distribution stuff in here, like stuff we're going to create, marketing assets. Some of the beta testers we're sending this to tomorrow at the time of recording this. Got the welcome document that I showed you earlier, and we've got the crowdfund document. We'll have a quick look at this. So we're putting this up on Miro, which is a really interesting open source, decentralized blog platform. This is our blog post we're writing about this. I need to add some images here. But this is all about the crowdfund, how you can get involved, how much it costs, why we're doing it, loads of FAQs. So I spent a lot of time writing that up. That's going live in the next couple of weeks. And then we've got some premium content. So we've got some hot takes, which is going to be quotes and good stuff from friends and experts. We've got some case studies for the premium version. We've also got some logistics in here of how we're going to deliver the report and the workshops and all that stuff. Okay, so those are our sort of background documents. And then down here, we've got all our actions for the crew. So these are the things we're currently working on. This is a getting things done dashboard. Thank you, Steffi, for giving the tip off on this. And we've just got a bunch of tasks that we all need to work on. So this is our kind of go-to for our tasks. So that's what we have been building this. We did all have all of the content in a kind of in this place, but I recently moved it all into this thing called public. So rather than it all feeling like it was all in development, I pushed it all into like one folder that felt this would be the one that if we shared it with people, it would be the thing we'd actually show them. So it kind of felt a bit more real rather than being kind of in development the whole time. So last week we put it into this format, which looks like this. This is the beta versions. This is the one for beta testers. Again, we haven't done all our design work yet, but hopefully you get the gist. I'm just going to pull this out a bit. There we go. Why is that not? I don't know why that's not going full width, but anywho, it'll figure itself out. So this is the report. It doesn't really look like a slide deck, does it? Very different. So we're really interested to see how this is going to go down. We're really thinking about how do we lay this out. So this is something I've been thinking about a lot recently. We've got this getting started thing here. We've got some ways to interact with the reports and tips. We've got some, hey, here's how you can get involved. We've got this section called Choose Your Own Adventure. So I've been thinking about, okay, we need to make this easy for people to use, easy for people to get into. So one way we've been exploring this, again, we might be changing it, is how do we give people easy, quick options to get into things? And so I've come up with these sort of 3 ways. One is Express. So if you've only got 5 minutes, click this link, you get into the overview. And this is that image that I showed you before. And we've got links to these scenes. I'm going to talk about these scenes in a bit. Now, we need to add some text here, but this would be the kind of 5-minute quick safari of all the trends and a few examples. I'm going to show you how we can make this kind of interesting, actually. So let's say, for example, we've got our overview. I'm going to add something here. So I do need to work on this. I'm going to link a database. So the reason we built this in Notion is because Notion is effectively kind of a database program, but way cooler than like Microsoft Access and stuff like that. So I can create a linked database. It means I'm going to show a database on this page that's already in existence. So if I write in projects, did that work? There we go. Edutainment 3.0 projects. So it's now pulling the project database. Now projects are all the kind of case studies and examples that we've pulled up so far. We've got a few of them in here. So if I add a view to this, I can add a gallery view. So I'm going to create a gallery view, and then I'm going to make this the default view. I think that does that. And then I'm going to say properties. We're going to display on the cards, which are these things here. I'm going to display the page cover instead, because the contents is like a load of text to cover. Now, not all of these have got images yet, but there we go. We can see straight away this is now shown. There we go. There's a couple there. This is now showing all of our case studies. So if people have only got 5 minutes, because we're in the kind of trends overview, this is the express version. I'm actually going to create a call out here. Welcome to the express version. If you've only got 5 minutes, this is the place to be. So hopefully for somebody who's only got 5 minutes to look at this, they can read these 5 trends. We might put, I'm going to just put note, add the 8 trends with a paragraph each. We'll probably flesh that one out more than just a line. And then we've got the projects. So what we can do here that's kind of cool. So we've got these projects in a gallery. So if I said, what's trend 1? Brands as neo-educators. So if I create a heading, brands as neo-educators, if I filter this project list, so I put a filter on and then change it, here you add a filter to, and then add the trend, brands as neo-educators, because we've got a separate database for that. So I'm filtering this project database by any of these projects that match this trend. And there we go. We've got, now we're down to, yeah, like 12 or something. So, and I could do more filtering on this. View all the projects below for this trend below. So perhaps maybe our 5-minute version might be, hey, you can just view the list or the gallery. We could do it as a list view if we wanted as well. Maybe I could add that and see what that looks like. List. Yeah, so that's now unfiltered it and added a load of extra stuff, but maybe we could do a list for this one. I don't know, maybe let's do a list. So I'm going to filter this one, add a filter, trend contains brands as neo-educators. There we go. So these are all the projects for brands as neo-educators. And then I could add another one, add a divider here, add another heading. What's trend 2? Tackling wicked problems. So maybe I'm going to add like a paragraph or something for this, and then maybe view all the trends. So maybe I could do that. I might do it this way. So I'm going to work on this a bit more later on, but here we go. This is our Express version. So I'll probably get rid of this at some point. I might even make this a bit smaller. Yeah, there we go, like that. Yeah, so we're going to add the 8 trends of the paragraph each. That's the first one. That's the second one. We've got these, all these projects. View all the projects rather. So we might just explain this with like a couple of lines for each one. And then underneath at the bottom, we've got these scenes. So this is actually like the list of the trends, the 8 trends. And then finally, we've got 3 emerging trends, which we're still working on a bit, and they've got their own page as well. So actually I will do it. Let's do it that way. So I'm going to add something new. I'm going to add another linked database. This one is called scenes. I'll show you the scenes in more detail in just a second. So here we go, it's all our scenes. I'm going to filter, I'm going to make this, let's add a view, let's make it a list. Actually, no, let's make it a gallery. Let's make it a gallery. We're going to add a gallery. This will show us all of these. Again, we've got loads of text here, so I'm going to change properties, change the preview to a cover, medium-sized, cool. And then I'm going to filter this by the particular scene. So here we go. Name, act, characters. We'll get into that in just a second. Scene equals. So this is scene 3. But we only want act 3. I'm going to explain this in just a second. I've kind of gone slightly the wrong way. Emerging trends. Does this show us? Yeah, there we go. Emerging trends. Summary and what's next, guideline for greatness, 3 emerging trends. Now, we don't actually want these 2 in here, do we? So we might just want to have a link to this. So maybe, I might have to come back to this. We might want to show the emerging trends. So I'm going to leave this as it is for now. We might want to get rid of these 2 somehow and just show the emerging trends. So again, we might have a bit more filtering, a bit of database work to do to figure out how to just show this later on. But here we go. So this is our 5-minute work in progress of the overview. I'm going to add a cover to this one as well to make it look nice. add to cover, it pulls something in automatically. I'm going to do unsplash. What should we search for here? These are an overview of the, let's have a look. Express, does that bring anything interesting in? Some DHL. Have we got anything fast? Speed, maybe I'll go speed. Let's go speed. This is for the 5-minute viewer. There we go. Let's go with this. All right, cool. That'll do for now. Trends overview, 5 minutes. You're going to see the 8 trends. We're going to write these up a bit more. Then you can scroll down and look at maybe like a paragraph. So we'll say paragraph for this. View all the projects. If you want to click into the projects, you can. We've got some tags for all the projects. And then we've got all the rest. We've also got links to all the trends. We might get rid of that, might not need it. And then we've got, hopefully I'll have to figure out how to get our emerging trends. So that's it. We might want some more navigational stuff in there, but this is looking pretty good. So this is our 5-minute version. So we're going to go back to our homepage. So that was our Express version. It's one page with the Express. Second option on the Choose Your Own Adventures, what I'm currently thinking about, this navigation. Right, explore. So we've said maybe like someone's got like 20 minutes to look at this. What are they going to need to do? And I haven't quite figured out the user journey yet. So I wonder what we're going to do here. We've got this Act 1 setting the stage. So this has got the 3.0 formula in it. So we might need to include that. Actually, we're going to need to include that in the 5-minute one as well. The 3.0 formula is very important. So actually, I'm just going to hop back into this and put a note saying the 3.0 formula. We need to include that. I'm going to jump into that in just a second. Then go back to this. There we go. So for our 20-minute version, what are we going to need in there? We are going to need, I'm going to put a comment on it, 3.0 formula, because we need that. What else if you've only got 20 minutes? That's important. You might not need all of this, because Act 2 is how we got to now, like the history of edutainment. We might want like a slightly, yes, we've got the intro to Act 3. So maybe we want that as well. I think we want all of Act 3. So I think it's probably going to be 3.0 formula. I'm going to edit this comment. Actually, let's screw it. Let's resolve it. Let's create a new page. We'll see if this works. This is 20-minute exploration. And we're going to go with 3.0 formula. All of Act 3. Now, I'm going to try and do this again here, see if it works. Create a linked database. We're going to go to scenes. This is all our scenes. Again, I'm going to add a view because gallery looks a bit nicer, because we'll try and keep it quite visual. And we're going to go filter. Again, same thing. Cover. I think you can create templates for this, but I'm not smart enough. Okay, so that looks nice, but it's got loads of Act 2 stuff in there. So let's go filter. Add a filter. Act equals Act 3. Cool. So these are in a bit of a funny order, because we've got a summary first. So we might want to sort by scene. I think that should do it. Scene ascending. Yeah, these two are the wrong way around, but otherwise, does that work? Kind of. Kind of. We might need to go with some sort of better sort on this. Might want to sort by their name. Okay, that might have done it. There we go. Yes, got it. Great. Okay, so this shows us all of the Act 3. So if you're doing a 20-minute exploration, we've just given you all of the stuff you need for Act 3. We're going to do an intro to the 3.0 formula, intro text here. So if you've only got 20 minutes, I'm going to add a little icon to this. Oh, a nice little ship. If you've got a 20-minute exploration, we're going to give you this. So you've got the 3.0 formula, which we're going to show. I'm going to show you in a second. Then we've got some intro text to this version, and we've got all of Act 3's content in here as well. So you can go through all of this. So yeah, 20 minutes. You're doing a couple of minutes per trend or whatever. Take a look. Oh, and then we'll probably need next steps, call to action for premium, because we do want people to get the premium version because we put a lot of work into this for free. So, hey, all right. So that's our 20-minute exploration. One pager. Again, it's just a rough start, but we've got something in place. Click the link below for all the trends in one place. This one is going to be click the link below for the 3.0 formula and insights into, this is more insights. Yeah, so this is a good one. This is just the trends. This one is sort of trends and insights. And then this one is the deeper dive. Now, for now, I've said with this deeper dive one, scroll down, choose Act 1, Scene 1, then follow the path. So let's do that. I don't think I'm going to create a page for this one because I think we're wanting people who are really into getting into this more to follow our 3 acts. And we've done it as a 3-act story. So each act has got a synopsis. Each act has got some scenes. As we can see, the first one here is what's in the name, then building blocks, and this 3.0 formula that I mentioned just in the past bit. So let's go into the 3.0 formula. We can steal this one. We're still working on this. I shouldn't be sharing this. This is top secret. So here's our formula that we've created. Here's a little bit on the balance of art and science. And then we've got some links to the next scene or jump straight into Act 3, traits and trends. So this is our kind of navigation we've built here. Again, this is quite a short page, but this is the one with the formula. So we're hoping that a lot of people will want to reference this because we're making this all shareable publicly. So if I have share switched on, when we would have this shared to web, if I switch that on, this link would be allowed. I'd probably allow not editing and no duplicating, but we could have this link available. So if people just wanted to go straight to this link, we could show them how to, we could just give them that. Okay, so that's not shared for web because this is still very private right now. That's Act 1, just 3 scenes. Again, this is a scenes database. So it's just a database of loads of pages with content in them. Act 2, how we got to now. So I've been kind of wrestling with this one a bit at the moment. So let's have a look at 2.0. Yeah, I've been meaning to sort of work on this one a little bit. This one's adolescent. So this one's got a cast of characters. We haven't added any images for them yet. Oprah, Bill Nye, Tony Robbins, Bourdain, various other people. And we've got this content here, the story. We've got some stuff about chocolate covered broccoli in the 90s. You can see this is a kind of chronological story that we're telling. And we carry on with into the 2000s. So I've got a bit of work to do here with all this stuff. We've added a few serious games. Need to add some experience economy stuff. Yeah, so we've got kind of the bits of this which may need to add images. Now for today, I'm not going to spend time like doing Google searches and image searching and stuff like that. It's not a particularly good use of my time. I'm more thinking about structure. So yeah, this one's in decent shape but needs looking at a bit more. These all flow, but really what we were getting to, right, was this deep dive. So if we wanted someone to follow it, they go here first. What's in a name? They read this stuff and they click through into this next scene, hopefully. So they click through into the next scene, that opens up here. And we can see we haven't got a lot here yet, but this one is the next scene. And we've got another link to the next scene, which is the 3.0 formula. So you click through, go back and forwards. And we probably need to add some backlinks here as well, actually, like navigational links. So I'm actually going to do that now as a quick note. So if I go back into our internal database, I'm going to add navigation links to all pages. That's a big job. Priority, I think it's a first priority. Due date, I'm going to say next week for that. And it's to do at the moment. All right, that'll do for now. Let's go back into the public version. So we need navigation. When I get to the 3.0 formula, that then leads us, we can take people from Act 1 into Act 2, or we can jump them to Act 3. So if we jump them to Act 2, that takes them to the first scene of Act 2, which is this one. We've got another cast of characters here. I haven't added all of these yet. There we go. We've got some content in here. Again, we've got a lot of work to do on this. Don't know if I want this one as a full screen, full width. I don't think we do. I think it's better like this. Yeah, it's probably a bit nicer. Yeah. This is a bit better because it's not that long. Got some stuff to add here. I might try and let's do a little bit of like recalibrating of this. Yeah, a little bit of Humphrey Davy. You can see a lot of this is kind of rough, quite rough still, but just trying to get a feel for the structure. We've done a lot of the heavy research, but not a lot of the finesse. Okay, so I'm going to add a link here because we need a link to a page. So we're in Act 2, Scene 1. We want Act 2, Scene 2. Edutainment 1.0. There we go. So that's now a link. We may also want a back navigation here, but hey, can add that later. So if we carry on, we're now in this 1.0, which is one of the more fleshed out ones. Again, this is on full width. I don't know if we want this on full width. Maybe we don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. We're going to see about that. I want a big screen. So here we go. This is our Act 2, Scene 2, Edutainment 1.0. We've got some YouTube in here, which is quite cool. So Notion's really great. You can embed stuff. We've got our mass media, got some stuff about gaming and hip hop and things like that. There we go. So, and then our call to action is go to Scene 3. Now I'm hoping that people are going to navigate this in the way that we want them to. One of the challenges with Notion that we haven't figured out yet is if you go back and look at the top menu up there, it links to scenes, not to the place where you came before. So if I click on this, it takes us back to the home page for all the scenes. Basically, there's a scenes database. Now, this is all right because you can see everything, but it's going to be a bit easy for people to get lost. So we haven't quite figured out the best way of doing this yet. So I go back into Edutainment 2.0. It opens it as a semi-sized page, which is, you know, okay. We've got all this stuff here. Right, and then we got our link to Scene 4. I'm just trying to make sure people can get around because we're going into beta mode soon. I want to be able to, for our beta testers, to at least get all the way through the thing without too much trouble. This is the thing, a slide deck, you're just going bang, 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 bang. We're asking people to do more stuff here. So I want to be mindful that it's going to be okay. So this is our content for Scene 4. I'm going to skip all of this because it needs a lot of cleaning. Okay, and then we need to do the link to Scene 5. I think there's a Scene 5. There wasn't a Scene 5 last week. We've just changed it. Not even 2 days ago. There we go. So this then we're going to link to next up. Make that a heading. The precipice. And add an icon for this one. A teddy bear on the precipice. That'll do for now. So this is our tipping point. This is quite short. We need to clean this up and edit it up a bit because this is all about why Edutainment 3.0 is about to kick in. So there we go. This is a link to Act 3. This is a link. I might actually just do it as a page link. I think it might be a bit nicer. Act 3, Scene 1. No, that's Act 1, Scene 3. Have we got an Act 3? Oh, maybe we don't. So this is traits. I didn't name these properly. So you can probably see, there you go, traits of Edutainment 3.0. And then we link through to the traits of Edutainment 3.0, which we're still working on. Yeah, so I might do a bit of updating here. I think these have got inconsistent naming. So if we go back into our scenes, there we go. So you can see here, acts and then no acts. So I'm going to go back out into the main area because we've got our overview here. Yeah, so we can see we've got 3 acts. We're actually even thinking about, do we make this 5 acts instead of 3? Because actually maybe young adulthood should be Act 3. The trends should be Act 4. And maybe the what's next should be Act 5. I wonder if we should do that actually. Going to have a think about that. Maybe not make a decision right now. So we've got a little bit of a naming convention issue, but it does look like most of the way, if I go into this Trends of Edutainment 3.0, yep, we can get through to macro trends. We can scroll down all of this. We put a link to number 3, which is 3 emerging trends, I think. No, it's not. Why kids lead the way. That's it. So this is why it's really confusing. Again, got to really think through people's understanding of this, because it's a lot of new wine, not enough old oak, as Derek Thompson says. This is our thing on kids. That we were going to do one trend on kids, but the kids' edutainment space is so vast that we've decided to make it a kind of overarching thing before we get the trends. I can't help but just let's find some kids play stuff. Let's do. I don't really want like a bunch of kids in there. Let's just do. I don't know. Let's do this one for now. Just something simple. Why kids lead the way. Not the best crop, but hey, let's do a quick reposition. That's even worse. Okay, I'll just save that as it is. You know, we had loads of stuff in here. So this is quite long. So we need to work on this one a bit. Might be multiple pages. Also a load of extra research we did. So this one needs to link to 4, which I think is introducing the trends. And then we're into the trends. List of all trends of 1 sentence for each. This will be very similar to the Express version that I showed earlier. Some rubric that we stole from someone else. I don't make any bones about it. And then we want to link to the first trend, I think, which is brands. No. Let's try that again. This is why we've got an issue. I need to name them with brands as neo-educators. I think that's it. Yeah, so I need to name these. So the scene and act method isn't actually consistent, which I think is going to confuse people. So this does link, and then we get into trend 1. You can see, there's our projects again. I showed you those earlier. Got some themes, got some what's next projects. Again, they don't have images yet. Got some guidelines, got some further reading. Here's some stuff that I pulled off LinkedIn that I thought was kind of cool. We've just been collecting all kinds of stuff. So bit of work to do here. Need to think about the design, because we've not got like a good user experience and something our beta testers are going to be using. So this is obviously a little tricky. So this deep dive we haven't quite figured out yet. It kind of works like following the path, but we're making assumptions of whether people are going to get it or not. So I think probably we're going to move into a 5-act story. I'm a bit nervous with it. So the tension here is 3 is good because people can understand 3s, but 5s can feel like a lot. It's a lot to ask. But if this was Act 4, I'm actually going to put it in brackets, Act 4. And this would be Act 3, young adulthood. This is like our kind of idea around like the emergence of why Edutainment 3.0 is interesting. So it means that we don't actually get into the trends until Act 4, which is quite a long way in. But it does feel to me that this makes more sense. Whether we call the trends a scene, I don't know. Let me play with this. So let's try it. So if I just rename this to Act 3, Scene 1, traits, that's going to make it a lot easier to search for. And then this will be Act 3, Scene 2. Act 3, Scene 2. Macro trends. And this one is why kids lead the way. So this will become Scene 3. Act 3, Scene 3. Can't spell. Still can't spell. Still can't spell. And then finally, this would be Act 3, Scene 4. So I'm kind of leaning toward doing it this way. This does look a lot. It follows the layout quite well. So I might need to think about this one a bit more. This might be Act 5 because this is going to be the crescendo of what's next. And then hopefully once everyone's worked through, wherever they want to go, they will get to the end here. Summary and what's next. We'll probably split these out into 2 scenes. And then we've got this going further where we're offering up this premium version. We're also offering the behind the scenes. So you can see all the scenes, all the acts, all the projects, all the trends. all the cast of characters, because these are all our databases. So we're really opening all this up. And then that will be it. So that's the idea. I wanted to also just have a quick look at some of the tagging, because one of the things we've realized with the database approach in Notion is it's super powerful. So if I go into maybe the projects, I realized how nuts this gets, because we can start adding to stuff all the time. So we got any images here? Not many. I've got a few placeholders. Most of these don't have images yet. So this one, Brooklyn Museum meets Netflix. So I could tag this one. I've created a few tags already. So I could tag this museum, for example. It's a collaboration because it's Brooklyn Museum and Netflix. It's a virtual exhibition. I guess it's kind of an activation. Yeah, it's an activation. And we might have related trends. We've also linked up other trends. Now, is this brand as Neo Educator? Maybe. Maybe not, but we could link it up if we wanted to. So these are all linked together. So something that's quite powerful here is that we could offer people the ability to search by tag. So if you wanted to search by museum, for example, within this space, we could show you all the museum projects, which I think is pretty interesting, pretty powerful. So although the user experience of navigating the actual report flow is not that great, as a resource that you can keep going back to, this thing's pretty powerful. So quite like this. We've also created 2 project types, best in class and what's next. Might rename these, but basically on the trend page itself, we've got a best in class section and a what's next section. So that's best in class. That means it will show up there. Abstract, which will show on the card, hopefully. I'm just going to say on the properties, let's say, yeah, show the abstract. There we go. So it's showing, yeah, all the tags. It's showing this. I might just update this a little bit as well. So it's showing the tags under the abstract. And I think maybe we want the trend first. Yeah. So I think this works well. So interestingly, this is a scene as well. So I might rename this. The trend is a scene. It's kind of a little bit confusing. So I've got to think about this user experience here. But anywho, we've now got like basically a massive database. So this thing has gone from like a Google Slides document into this kind of database approach. And we think it's pretty interesting. So this is what I'm working on right now. This is the process and how I'm thinking through stuff, trying to figure out how to weave this all together from a user experience perspective, writing up content. So for example, I'm looking at this kind of fairly raw stuff and trying to bring all this together in a way that is interesting, has some images in it. I've got to drop a load of stuff in here. Makes sense, isn't too long, but also not got too many scenes in each bit. This is some of our research that we need to recut and adjust. So it's a really a kind of layout question, using Notion as much as we can. And going to be using some video stuff, probably going to use some slides. So we're going to start bringing in kind of some animation bits, things like that. Maybe I'll do some explainer videos at the beginning of each scene, perhaps. So trying to get a bit creative with it. I'm going to finish up in a second. We're going like 40 minutes or so on this little co-worky session, but hopefully you found this interesting if you're tuning in. We don't think anyone's really used Notion to do something like this before. So we're quite fascinated with how this is going to turn out. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to on the Wavetable website. You go to wavetable.net. I will actually stick it here in somewhat. Wavetable.net. There we go. Head to that link, wavetable.net. On there, you can get the whole caboodle. I'll actually switch it and show you how to get there now. Hopefully this is working. Whoa. Okay, is that doing it? I think it is. Yeah, good enough. It's showing my whole screen, including my pocket stuff. Wavetable.net. If you go to the resources, there you go, Edutainment 3.0. So if you want to learn more about this, have a quick look at Edutainment 3.0. You can add your email address there and you will get access to the report first thing before anybody else. So yeah, that's a little go round of how we're building this thing right now. I'm going to switch back to my Notion page. So it's not the kind of terrifying Infinite Howard. That's how we're building it. Hope this was helpful. Might do a couple more of these because we think Notion is a really cool tool. We're not paid. We're not on their payroll. We pay for it, but we do really like it. And we're going to be doing more sessions like this on tools that we're using and also some behind the scenes. So hopefully this little co-worky thing was helpful just for you to sort of see how we're building stuff, how we're approaching it, how we're constructing it. I could have gone into crazy detail, but hopefully this little explainer has been helpful. All right. I'd say that's enough for this episode of the Groove Box. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. Be well. We'll be back in 2 Wednesdays time live, but obviously we will always be there for you on YouTube and other platforms in the archive to check it out. All right. I'm going to get out of here. It's a pleasure to see you, and good night and good luck. All right.